Okay, so this was the first drag test. Once again, the stock E46, pretty much almost stock. This car had only a ported cylinder head. Everything else was fully stock. So yeah, this is the difference between mildly modified 2.8 versus M54 3 liter. I know the difference is a lot, but this is it. I have done a lot of drag tests versus M54s, and most of the time they lose like that. So okay, let's continue to the next drag test. On the next drag test, which you guys going to see, is after exactly the installation of the G-Power Compressor Kit without any other modifications. We just put the G-Power Kit and we go straight to the truck. Yeah, the next footage is on a truck, and you guys going to see the results. Once again, yeah, let's first see it, and after that we're going to comment it. So as we saw, pretty much there is a difference for sure. The cars are feel pretty identical by acceleration. I mean, yeah, probably the G-Power is accelerating a little bit better than the 2.8, but all of us were expecting that the E46 was going to go around the E36 like nothing. So once again, we were pretty much disappointed of the results, and the owner decided to do some modifications. By modifications, I'm going to show you what we have done. In the next footage, I have done some footage about this, what we have installed to the car. And once again, after this, we're going to show you the next drag test, which is going to be the final one between the both cars, and we're going to show you the conclusion of everything. So after the disappointing results, we decided to do something about it and give it a second chance. So let me show you where we're at. Once again, the car is with opened valve cover, and I'm in the process of changing the exhaust camshaft. So let me show you. This is the original camshaft that the car had, the M54B30 exhaust camshaft, the original one. Yeah, I have removed the bolt on the front. And the owner decided to buy a cut cams for the car, and this is what we have inside. This is the bolt. So we have in total one exhaust and one inlet camshaft, but now the owner decided to use only the exhaust one, which the specs are right here. For those of you that know something about camshafts, they're probably going to see that the exhaust one, let me zoom in a little bit. The exhaust one has the sail duration of 247 degrees and the real life duration 211, and the lift is 9.6. So So once again, this is the exhaust one, and the intake one, you can clearly see what it is, but the intake one, he took it for his second car, which has the same engine like this one. But we're going to use only this exhaust one, and we're doing this with the small hope that we're going to reduce at least a little bit the cylinder chamber temperatures inside, which are causing us a lot of detonations and misfires inside the engine. So we are hoping that this is going to reduce the temperature, because it's going to help to make the exhaust gases to escape the chamber a little bit faster than right now. And now I'm going to install only the exhaust camshaft, and we're going to see how it is. If he is not satisfied with the result, we're going to change the inlet camshaft, which he already bought. Right now it's going to be a little bit hard to show you, but they are inside here. We have two ZHP camshafts here, one exhaust and one inlet camshaft. We're going to use the inlet camshaft from ZHP. Probably some of you are going to know that these cars with M54 engine came with this ZHP camshaft, which is a little bit more aggressive intake camshaft. It's not something crazy, but really rarely there are engines with these camshafts. Just decided to show you the difference between the both camshafts. This is the cut cams, the brand new camshaft. This is the old original M54 camshaft, exhaust camshaft. And yeah, I just going to need to put this for the Vanus gear. I just going to transfer it from the original camshaft to the new aftermarket cut camshaft. Other than that, some difference. The wrench place is a little bit on behind, not like on here on the center. And actually this camshaft is hollow to somewhere here. So from here to this point is hollow. So let me try to measure them and see what is going to be the difference between the two camshafts, because every gram on the valve train is going to contribute to much better performance from any engine, not only from this. Okay, so the scale is here. So let's start with the original camshaft. So once again, only the camshaft, and it is exactly 3 kilograms. So let me try to install it like that for repeatability. Once again, 3 kilos. So now let's see the cut camshaft. Actually it's hollow, but it feels heavy. I was thinking that it's going to be lighter. Yeah, actually it's heavier, 3.1 kilo. So I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe that's why they made it hollow, because the material they used probably is heavier. I don't know, but yeah, 3.1. So this is 100 grams heavier than the original exhaust one from M54. So really interesting. I was not expecting this, if I need to be honest. So okay guys, we saw the results. As we saw, the first drag test was when the engine was naturally aspirated, and yeah, as we saw that the difference there was pretty obvious between the E36 and the E46. But after that, on the second drag test, as we saw on the footage on the track, once again the drag test was kind of equal. Not 100% sure because it was kind of short, but the cars were feeling pretty equal there. We made how much? 2 drag tests on the track or 3?
Not sure. At least 2.
So we did both on standstill and
rolling.
Yeah, and on a rolling start. And pretty much the car, yeah, there is a drastic difference before and after, of course. Because if we once again see the footage on the before with the natural aspirated engine, as we see the E36 is pulling much harder, and now it's almost impossible to go out of the side of the E46. But on the third drag test, the owner decided to finally put an exhaust manifold and replace the right hand exhaust which was clogging up the cylinder head pretty heavily. Yeah, it's kind of dark here, but the owner decided to take a Schmiedmann exhaust manifold, and probably if we're lucky I'm going to be able to show you the batch. Yeah, probably you can see the man from Schmiedmann, but yeah, he have installed the exhaust manifold, and the third track test was with the exhaust manifold, plus we have installed the exhaust camshaft, which I have some footage on it. And as we can see on the last track, on a rolling start, finally G-Power Kit revealed its potential, and as we can see on the E46 is pulling pretty hard on third gear. The owner didn't have the chance to put fourth gear because the car once again is getting in limp hump mode, which means some of the cylinders are start to misfiring. The best that we can do is second and third gear, and after that the car is getting in limp home mode, which means the car is misfiring. We decided to not push it anymore. Yeah, today is a little bit hot, I believe somewhere 30 degrees.
Around 30 degrees.
Yeah, 30 degrees, which highly contributes to the issue with the car. In cold weather it feels much better, but with 30 degrees outside the misfires are inevitable. We had one chance to see the full potential of this G-Power Kit, and as we can see the car is pulling much harder than the E36. We can feel it, but it's for a really short period of time, which is the biggest downside. Now the owner is going to give us some insights because he's driving the car is his. He's with this car all the time, so he's going to say the pluses, the minuses, and yeah, pretty much tell us what's your experience using this G-Power Kit.
So it's been a journey. Having this, restoring this car first and then putting the supercharger on. It's really, it's a journey. It's not like you put something and you forget about it. There is always something to do, something left to do, something more to do, things to iron out. It's like that. Now, on the pros of the kit, obviously the car feels much more responsive, sharper, quicker. It feels easier to drive. You know, the car always has the potential to pull away, to overtake, to have fun. So that's definitely on the plus side.
Do you feel any noises, additional noises when you're driving casually on the road, cruising, whining noises and stuff?
No, when you get up to speed, you don't really notice it.
You need to know that the car has it to know it.
Yes. There is just a little bit of whistling sound once you get in the upper RPM range, but
above 5,000 or
maybe above 4.5, you start noticing it a bit. But if you didn't know, maybe you wouldn't notice it.
There is nothing annoying about sound-wise.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Actually, the engine makes very pleasant sound. I like the soundtrack.
So a lot of people are going to ask themselves, what is the fuel consumption now? Do you see any noticeable difference on a cruising and of course with a little bit harder aggressive driving?
I was surprised about fuel consumption. Actually, fuel consumption stayed about the same. It didn't change much, if at all. Initially I thought fuel consumption dropped. Later on it was just the same. So
No difference at all?
No, I wouldn't say there is noticeable difference in fuel consumption. My initial thoughts were that since a compressor is a device which it is much more effective in moving air than an engine, since it's designed to move air solely. That's his sole purpose. So I thought there's just some saving on the pumping losses. I don't know if that's the case, but anyways, the fuel consumption hasn't really been an issue with this kit. Now, would I recommend it?
Yeah, the biggest question.
If you are thinking about going the supercharger route, well, I have mixed feelings about that. I would say, would I recommend it? Yes and no. So I would say yes to recommend to people who are willing to modify their cars to a certain extent, and they understand that it's a journey, not a destination. It's not something you put on and you forget. For a project car, maybe, which is supposed to undergo modifications frequently, I would say yes, this kit might work. Now, to make it work though, and some of the things I'm going to share with you are actually recommendations from G-Power, which they shared with me only after I bought the kit. They didn't tell me this beforehand. So the thing is, you need to address the biggest restriction on these cars, on these engines, which would be the exhaust manifold and also the exhaust camshaft. Once you put a supercharger on, you are helping the intake push more air into the engine, but you are doing nothing on the exhaust. So you would have to do both: upgrade the camshaft and replace the restrictive exhaust manifold. Doing only one of those things won't help. You need to do both camshaft and exhaust manifold.
Which we have to write. We have started with the exhaust camshaft, and after that the exhaust manifold was installed, not the both together.
Right. We did the camshaft first, and the engine behaved a bit differently, I would say, in a positive way, but nothing too dramatic. Only after I changed the exhaust manifold as well, only then the difference was more noticeable. Both of these, the camshaft and the exhaust manifold, are not cheap, so you have to budget additional funds. It's not only the price of the compressor and the installation, but also you need to plan for those upgrades as well. Now, the other thing to take into consideration is the air intake. The way G-Power designed it is to suck air from underneath the hood, and I can tell you here it gets pretty hot. You have the compressor itself, which radiates heat, a lot of heat. Then you have the heat exchanger from the cooling system, which dumps the heat towards the engine bay. So whatever the ambient temperature outside might be, you can be sure that under the hood it's at least 15, 20, maybe more degrees Celsius
More
hotter.
So you have taught several things you can do about fixing these issues. Can you talk us through what they were?
Yeah, we gave it a lot of thought as to how to approach this hot air intake and turn it into cold air intake. And certainly there are ways, and once again, if you are prepared to modify the car to a certain extent, you will find a way. However, I didn't want to make too heavy modifications.
You wanted to keep it stock?
I wanted to keep it somewhat stock.
Yeah, without cutting any of the metals around the wheel arch or anything like that.
So yeah, the two possible ways we came up with are the following. So one was to route some additional piping down here and go under the front bump, where we install a conical filter.
Under the head light. And you're talking about sucking from here?
Yeah, going behind the headlight and then behind the front bumper, and opening a vent somewhere, or maybe from this area here, from the grill, redirecting some air somewhere behind the bumper. And if you can see here, we have removed the auxiliary fan, so there is enough room.
Yeah, originally here is the electrical fan for the AC, or for overheating.
So that's one way to go about it. Another option we discussed is to actually cut this section right here, this metal section.
Yeah,
How do you call this?
Front. Okay, so this front bar, let's call it.
So we wanted to cut it, let's say here and here, and bring it lower, like 10 centimeters, and then in this space here, which opens up, to install air box with a panel filter, and then fabricate some kind of intake on top of it, which would lead the air to the intake for the supercharger. However, after all the measurements we took, all considerations, it turns out there's just not enough room for that. There is not enough depth to build a air box and to have a filter move air efficiently. So we abandoned that idea as well. That's about it. There is no really space for fitting an intercooler.
And you're talking about this heat to the air system, mainly because this limp hop mode misfires which this kit is generating. The solution from G-Power was to drive with higher octane fuel, right?
Yes, that's another recommendation that's kind of mandatory from G-Power, is that you drive with higher octane fuel.
Yeah.
So around 98 as a minimum.
In different countries the run is different. In USA 98 is 92 or something like that, I'm not sure, but in different countries the octane number is different. But let's say the premium fuel, the premium petrol fuel should be used. This is the recommendation from G-Power. Right now the fuel is kind of expensive, as we know, and for a daily car it's going to be a little bit expensive. Yeah, if the car was only for truck use, it's not end of the world, of course, because how often you're going to drive on the truck. For a daily car it's kind of expensive. And the other thing which we were considering, of course, the biggest thing which probably most of you are going to ask yourself, why don't we put an intercooler in the car which is going to drastically decrease the temperature in the intake system? So tell us why.
Right, I spent considerable amount of time researching this possibility, how to install some kind of intercooler. And again, I didn't want to do heavy modifications like cutting here and there, routing pipes. I didn't want to do all of that. The alternative with the air-to-air intercooler it's not applicable, also due to the angling of the outlet of the compressor. So the next thing was to use a water-to-air intercooler, and there are those barrel style intercoolers which you can use, and my idea was to fabricate a replacement for what is now the charge pipe from the compressor to the intake manifold. It has like an S-shaped curve to it, so my idea was to take a barrel style air-to-water intercooler and fabricate a charge pipe, and then of course we would have the heat exchangers up front. The issue with that approach, using the barrel style intercooler, is that everything is so tightly packed between the compressor and the intake manifold that there's just not room to do that. Or maybe again some heavy modifications have to be made, including relocating stuff, things like that.
And you need to take in mind piping, water pumps, additional reservoirs. So it's not so simple to add water to air intercooler. Yeah, it's much more efficient, no doubt about it. As we know, the new M-Power engines are using water to air intercoolers. No doubt this is the best thing you can use, but it's something that's not so easy to put. You need to take in mind a lot of things. But if you want to modify your car, probably this is the best solution. And yeah, the other thing which we're considering, which is maybe a little bit more drastic, is methanol.
Yes, that's actually the go-to approach from G-Power. So they're saying, well, our kit doesn't come with an intercooler, so you can install our methanol injection kit,
which can reduce the limp hop modes, the misfires, and everything else. So this is going to reduce the temperatures in the camera.
It's priced at around 700-800 euros, this kit. Anyways, it's a kind of modifications that I'm not willing to undertake. Another issue related to reliability is the filter element. This is the original filter that G-Power kit comes with, and it's very poor with filtering air. We at some point we replaced the engine mounts, and to do that we had to take off this whole piece. And once we took it off, we found a lot of sand inside.
Actually, it was really a sand.
Like very aggressive abrasive, like a lot of sand really, and on the how do you call this?
Airflow meter.
The airflow meter, it was all full with sand, and here on the back side of this there was a lot of sand. So you can imagine some of this sand remained here, and some of the sand found its way into the engine.
Yeah, this is the last thing you're going to want to have in your engine for sure, because as we know, this is going to make a lot of scarfing on the cylinder walls for sure. Yeah.
I couldn't really find a conical
replacement,
filter which filters better that would fit here. So I was stuck with this option.
Yeah, risking to damage the engine badly.
Yeah, and I ended up unbolting these screws here and regularly checking if there is sand inside.
Yeah, which is really annoying. Yeah, we're going to see is there any damage in the engine when we remove the cylinder head. Hopefully everything is going to be fine.
And once again, if you are someone who is looking for a project car and willing to modify your car as a hobbyist, and really take pleasure in, and you enjoy modifying the car for just you enjoy the process of modifying your car, maybe that's a kit for you. You have plenty of modifications to do. But if you are someone who is more interested in driving the car afterwards, like having a trouble-free ride, which you can enjoy occasionally, take it to track days occasionally, then I would say this kit is not for you. It's simply too troublesome. If you are someone who is willing to have a reliable car which you can enjoy on a daily basis and take it to the track occasionally without doing some heavy modifications and like constantly doing them, I would say this kit is not for you. It would give you more trouble than enjoyment.
What is your plan about this kit?
Okay,
or it's too early to say.
Here we go. So I have another car with the same engine. It's an E39
M54.
M54 engine, yes. The M54B30. It's an E39 530i. It's currently in the stages of the final stages of a restoration project. So the nice thing about that car is that there is more room under the hood, right?
Much more.
The way BMW designed the air intake is that it starts from right next to the fog light.
You're talking about the section of the air filter housing, right?
I'm talking about the whole air intake. The cold air intake. Yeah. So it starts in the bumper next to the fog light, then it goes in the fender, and the outlet is round around here, right around here.
Yeah. All right.
And there is more space to work. So we can very easily, in a very natural way, have a cold air intake on the E39. Just use a proper large size conical filter and maybe even build some air box, and we can easily get fresh air from outside. And this to some extent will for sure reduce the intake temperatures.
Because the video is getting a little bit long, we're just going to end up with what is the plans of Tolor to do with this car right now, because as we have heard, probably this is not the best thing that he can have on his car. So he's going to say in few words what is the next thing which we're going to do to this car.
Actually, I'm dropping the car here in the shop, and we are going to disassemble the engine once again. The engine is going back to
Naturally aspired.
naturally aspirated engine, yes. We're going to install a new set of pistons with higher compression ratio of it will be at least 11:1. So depending on how much we skim from the head and block, it's going to be anywhere below, between 11:1 and 11.5:1.
And originally was 10.2:1, right?
Yes, that's the figure BMW claims. However, when people measure it, it's more like 10:1.
Yeah.
So the engine is going NA once again. Maybe further down the road, we'll experiment with individual throttle bodies. There are a few options out there. You can replace the intake manifold. We just have to figure out how to retain the drive-by-wire functionality.
Yeah, because M54 has electrical throttle body, and the older engines M52, like on the E36, they are using drive-by cable, which in this case is going to be much more easier. But as we know, here is everything is electrical throttle body, electrical accelerator pedal.
Yeah, for example, if you want to have your cruise control, you need to have the drive-by-wire. So those are the plans. We're going NA once again with higher compression ratio.
And different cams.
Different cams, yes. Both intake and outlet camshaft will be different. We will see exactly which ones I'm going to use. I have actually 3 sets of camshafts lying around. Different, yes.
So pretty much this is it, I think. Briefly about.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So okay, guys. I really hope this video is really helpful for some of you that are wondering about this G-Power kit. Probably if you are planning to install, actually on the first video which I uploaded about the installation of the kit, some people have comments in the video that they are planning to buy it. So probably it's going to be really interesting for those of you guys that want to see what is the outcome of everything on a daily drive. Yeah, once again, if you're planning this car to be your track car, this is not the test you're going to want to see. But once again, probably if you put methanol and you're driving on a higher octane, you're not going to have these issues which we have with the misfires. But for a daily drive, you need to consider these things. So if you have some additional questions, put them down in the comments below. I'm going to try to answer it. So we're going to wrap up the video here, and probably in later state we're going to show what we're going to do with the engine, and we're going to see how it's going to come up. So thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.